All right, welcome back to another episode of the All American Hoops Podcast. This is episode 132. Joining me, as per usual, is my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
Always a pleasure. A little West Coast primetime episode tonight. I was actually dozing off for a little bit there, so I'm a little tired right now, but I'm
A little
assuming
drowsy.
a little hoops
Yeah.
will wake me up.
Yeah, both of us are. I guess I don't know if we're still in the grace period to where we can use jet lag as an excuse. We are just getting back from Greece, which is a 7-hour time period from where we are. I've always heard that it's so it's the time difference. So 7 hours. So split in half. So it's 3.5. So it technically should take us 3.5 days to fully recover. So we landed back in New York at was it 10 p.m. on a little after 10 p.m. 10:30, I think closer to 10:30 on Saturday night. So let's see. So Sunday night, Monday night, tonight's Tuesday night. So yeah, we're approaching that 3-day mark. So I guess in about 12 hours from then. So by 10 a.m. next morning. So that should be the time where we're fully readjusted to jet lag. So I don't know if that's just us coping, but I'm always tired anyway. So and also we also did get back at a late time and like let's be honest, we both fell asleep at around the same time that we usually do on a Saturday night anyway. So it's not like we were too affected by that. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, Greece was an awesome time. And yeah, like obviously we had the pod. We took the week off last week. Week before that, I had Dells on the show from Pick His Side. We had an awesome show then. We discussed a little bit about the Mets, about the trade deadline. Both of us were anti-trading Francisco Lindor. That ended up not happening, thankfully. I did. It was also the day before the LeBron saga. I'll bring up that, but I will say that I did mention that the Sixers were fourth on my list for who LeBron would sign with. Ended up being wrong there, but either way, we'll dive into that later. But yeah, for now, we're just gonna. It is the off season now, so and we're in the prime time in the middle of the baseball season. So yesterday was the trade deadline, so we'll dive. We're going to talk a little baseball for now because a lot happened yesterday in the past couple of days. Matt, I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I'm going to ask you in a little bit. It's like any big takeaways from the trade deadline. But the first one is the one that affects the league.
And it seems like they continually get away with murder in this league. You know, all the Japanese players and the international guys want to play there. They have Yamamoto on a cheap deal. Yamamoto, I'm blanking. What's his name? On $7 million a year. It's just like the Tigers kind of just gave away, like you said, the best pitcher in baseball to them. And it leaked like it's a little fishy, this whole deal, in my opinion. It came out like a couple weeks ago that Skubal wanted to be a Dodger because he's kind of a loser. And then like the Phillies offered a huge package with a ton of prospects. The Tigers declined it. They request.
Why would teams only be giving to the Dodgers? It doesn't affect them. They only want to succeed from this off. I just can't get on board with that because the Dodgers, they have a fine farm system. Outside of Max Muncy and Will Smith, they really don't have any elite players from their system. They've bought literally every single one of their elite players: Shohei Ohtani, Yoshiba Yamamoto, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts is traded, actually. Never mind. But Freddie Freeman, Edwin Diaz, Tanner Scott, Sasaki. I'm listing guys that aren't as great, but like those are guys that could have been useful on another team. And Blake Snell, another guy, but all those guys were guys that could have gone to other teams, but they're just maximizing the Dodgers' ceiling. And I just can't help but think that this is a ploy that all the cheap owners are more than willing to let some of these stars go to the Dodgers to make it look like it's unfair. So they're going to implement a very strict salary cap. Not even just the strict salary cap, but like other ways to make it hard for certain teams to succeed. So, but I also want to address like some of the media journalists, like guys like Jeff Passan and some of like the other guys are saying like, oh, you can't hate the Dodgers for this, you can hate this system, and like I don't think anyone is actually hating the Dodgers themselves for trying to make their team the best. That's what they should be doing. But like it's just the whole system, and it's like the whole system involved. Like every single one of these players, including Scooble. Yeah, Scooble like clearly preferred to go to the Dodgers. He wants to get that ring. But it's kind of like when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, and I'm just hoping that something works out. I used to be very anti-salary cap, and to an extent, I still am. Like it's always been like this, and clearly it's just a system. Like I don't want to get into. I don't know every single owner in the MLB. Like I don't know. I can tell you which one. I can tell you probably most of them which ones are cheap and which ones aren't. But I think a very high percentage of them don't care about winning a ton. Like they care about money, and they're not willing to spend money to make money, which is just backwards to me. That's what every capitalist thinks, which all these owners are. The capitalists. Everyone knows you're going to spend money to make money, and some of them probably just think that it's not a good investment because there's only one winner every year at the end of the day. But who knows what's going to happen? But what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about our Mets first, or do we want to dive into others? Why don't we dive into other trades from other teams first, and then we can talk about our Mets after that. So, what's non-Met trade are you is like a big takeaway for you?
I guess not really a single trade, and I guess this does have stuff to do with the Mets, but I think the Chicago Cubs are a winner of this deadline. They're playing great baseball this year. They're second in the NL Central right now, behind the Brewers, who we partially talked about. They got David.
While PCA is on like a minimum contract, is a big one for sure. I think I think the biggest move outside of Schoolball, and you mentioned the Cubs are big winners. I don't know whether to consider I actually don't know if I consider them winners at all. But Adley Rutschman to the Red Sox is absolutely a big trade for both ends. Rutschman, it feels like that he's peaked. He peaked really in his rookie season, if not his rookie season, then a sophomore season. I think it was 2023 that was his 2023, 2022. I don't remember. Was his rookie season. I want to say whatever it was. He's been a lot worse since. So you know what it was? I think it was 2022 was his rookie season, but just not the great player he was. But and the Orioles traded him. And usually when I would have said maybe they should have traded him a year earlier and they gotten more for him, but they clearly traded him at the perfect time because where they get 5 high-end prospects. I think I don't know. Was it 3 of them in their top 10 or something like that? Something crazy like that. So yeah, that's a move that you make every time if you're the Orioles. The Orioles aren't really in a good place right now, so they're selling high on their young guys. And like I said, Rutschman isn't even when Rutschman was great, in 2022. I don't think that I would have traded 5 prospects for him. So he's not playing great, and you're making all these moves for him, I think is a big win for the Orioles. If you're the Red Sox and Rutschman turns into this great player, it's gonna be worth it at the end of the day, depending, especially if they go on multiple far playoff turns with him. But it's definitely one of the more interesting. Obviously, the only comparable one that I can remember is when the Yankees traded for Soto, but I don't know what Rutschman's contract is looking like, and Soto is different because he's clearly the much better player, but he was also on an expiring deal. So it's kind of tough to tell how this deal is going to work out for the Red Sox, but I can't imagine it's fully paying off unless they win the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, the total trade deal was Carlos Nevares, who was the catcher for the Red Sox. Then their number 2, 4, and 5 prospect and a player to be named later. But however, the Red Sox have been playing great baseball recently. They've been the hottest team in baseball for at least a month now. And I think a lot of these teams are kind of prepping for maybe there won't be baseball next year, so let's go for it this year. And I think Rutschman is definitely a valuable player. He's a switch hitting catcher that was the number 1 overall pick a couple of years ago. I will say, I know trading prospects can bite you back and bite you in the ass down the line, but I mean, if you look at selfishly talking about the Mets, if you look at the Mets top prospects from 2018, I forget when Ahmed Rosario got called up, whatever year that was. He was a top prospect in baseball. Francisco Alvarez, who's a solid baseball player, was also the top prospect in baseball. A lot of these guys, they don't technically pan out. I mean, look at the Red Sox a couple of years ago. They traded Mookie Betts for a bunch of top prospects. And the best player that the Red Sox got in return was Alex Verdugo. So, trading prospects, it is a shot in the dark. I think some of them are definitely if they're 3 top 5 prospects in their system, I mean, one of them is probably bound to be good, but we're not entirely sure. We knew that Rutschman is going to be solid for the Red Sox at least, and there is high upside with him. So I don't really hate this trade for the Red Sox at all, especially with the way they've been playing. And they need to improve their catching position because they had
They
Narvaez
did.
and Connor Wong, who offensively have been a negative to say the least.
Yeah, definitely fair enough. Yeah, I think there's actually a good segue to us talking about our Mets because the Mets are in quite the position now because, like we said, the Mets traded two of their guys, Clay Holmes and who's the second guy that was in that deal in that Cubs
Sorry,
deal?
who was it?
Clay Holmes and
Tyron
who was the
Taylor?
second guy? Yeah, and Tyron
Tyron
Taylor.
Taylor.
So Holmes, Taylor, Brooks Raley, one of the best Mets relievers ever, statistically speaking. Hunter Brazaban, older guy, but still had 3 years left in the deal. I kind of wish they held on to him. Traded David Peterson a few weeks ago. AJ Minter, another guy. They traded like 7 or 8 guys. It may have been even closer to 8 or 9. And they got a bunch of prospects back. 9 of them are turning out to are joining the Mets top 30 prospects. So I know our friend Dean made a joke saying they got all these prospects back, like none of them are ever going to play for the Mets. Hopefully that's false. But however, when you're the Mets and you're in a horrible situation now, they've been playing better. They've been playing better recently, but that's also might just be the fact that the pressure's off and everything. But when you're in such a bad spot, you got to sell something for the players that you have right now, and that's exactly what they did. And obviously, yeah, you weren't going to trade Soto. I'm happy they didn't trade Lindor. You're not going to trade Benj, Ewing, McLean, Christian Scott, or in my opinion, I think that Francisco Alvarez, he's not as good as any of those guys. We can get into an argument about Alvarez another day, but I don't think you should trade him. But if they got rid of a lot of those other guys. They held on to Bo Bichette and Marcus Semien, who who are guys that some rumor they were going to get rid of. But the fact that you're able to get things to improve your farm system so much, it might say more to the fact that their current farm system is weak because a lot of the guys got promoted to the majors, and also you traded away some of those guys for Freddie Peralta. I forgot about him actually, for Freddie Peralta and for Luis Robert. But all that said, the fact that you were able to improve your farm system based on what you had, and I forgot who I saw the other day. I think someone said this trade move the Mets up at least 5 or 6 spots, ranking farm systems. So obviously this is scoping. You were hoping the Mets were going to get 10 this year, and it's the furthest thing from it. But I think you have to come away from this trade deadline. Given the circumstances, I give it we were all expecting them to get nothing back, and they didn't really get much back. But I give this trade deadline a solid B for the Mets. I don't know what you give it to them.
It's really tough to rank or give a grade to a team that's selling at the deadline.
Yeah.
In baseball, because it's hard to see the return. I think in a couple years we'll know. I do wish that they got a little more for certain players.
Yeah.
I do like the Clay Holmes and Tyron Taylor deal. Obviously, we got the Cubs number 2 prospect in Jefferson Rojas. Rojas, I think is how you pronounce it. I believe he's the Mets' number 1 prospect now, which is very exciting. I think he's ready in 2027, so he'll be called up soon. They traded away Luke Weaver, who is under control again to next year to the Pirates. Luke Weaver is absolutely elite this year. Who got the shortstop Sammy Stafura. He's from Long Island, I believe. Huge Mets fan. However, the Mets are paying $8 million in Weaver's deal next year. I wish that they got more than just one prospect because, he could be a great player. Who knows? But you never know with prospects. I keep saying that. So I wish they got maybe another guy or something along those lines. The Freddie Peralta deal kind of stinks to the Rays. The Rays are totally going to fix him. And I'm happy with any that we got for Freddie Peralta because I did not think he's a good fit here. Great teammate. Everyone says he's a great guy. I'm happy he's off my favorite team. He was a abysmal from the start. It stinks that they traded Sproat and Williams, but it seems like, I mean, I know Williams is in Double A or Triple A still, and Sproat just got sent down again.
Yep.
But that was the Mets I think third and fifth prospect at the time, and they got like I think 2 of the top 30 that's in the Mets system now in return. You package Tyron Taylor and Clay Holmes, like I said, to the Cubs. That's my favorite deal
Easy. Yeah.
of the trade deadline so far. But I'm upset that they only have 2 of their top 10, 2 prospects in their top 10 after selling for the whole deadline. I mean, you sell guys like Peralta, Weaver,
Fair
Holmes,
enough.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Even though the Mets stunk this year, their bullpen was good. You trade
Yeah.
Minter and Brooks Riley to a division rival.
I think that's
like you got
that's easily
nothing.
that's easily my least favorite part of it. Like, is trading. Yeah, like Brooks Riley, like unfortunately, someone very injury prone. But like when he was on, he's like I said, one of the best Mets relievers ever. Like as far as it goes for on like a per pitch basis, like easily one of the best. And you're just giving him away for very little. Like I feel like at that point you let him walk in free agency. You don't you don't let him go. You don't trade him to the Phillies when that's going to be the return. So like yeah, like I don't know. Like that's probably a hot take of mine, and like and maybe it's something that something that someone would, non the business would say, but yeah, I don't know. Like trading someone to a division rival for like when you get nothing in return just feels backwards to me.
Yeah, you got John Spikerman, who's from the Phillies, who was ranked 27th in the Phillies prospect pool, and then this guy Luke
Second in the Mets now.
Gabrish, who's was unranked in the Phillies prospect pool. Like it's kind of head scratching. I mean, going into this year, I really trusted Stearns, and literally almost every single move he's made has been awful. So I just don't trust anything that he does right now, and that's one of the most head scratching ones. And like I don't think the Phillies are a true contender this year, but it's just like it's not even like trading him to the Phillies. It's like the return you got is the most frustrating part. Like
Exactly.
you trade him to the Phillies, like look at what I know it's Rutschman's obviously more valuable than an older reliever in Brooks Riley, but the interdivision tax, like the Red Sox clearly overpaid for Rutschman, and it seems like the Phillies kind of fleeced the Mets in a way here.
Yeah, well, like you said, only time will tell with like how these prospects pan out and everything. Like, who knows? Maybe this guy could be a lot better than we expect, and maybe Raleigh doesn't really contribute a lot to the Phillies, and the Mets traded him at a good time. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe there's very likely. I shouldn't say no baseball, but there's gonna be very limited baseball played. I think at the very least the season's gonna be delayed like it was in 2022. And at the very least, it was only a couple weeks delayed, and like they were still able to play 162 games in 2022. I don't think that's going to be the case in 2027. So, I think my prediction as of now is like again, like I've only heard about like the headlines and everything, so I don't know a ton. But like my guess would be like July, like All-Star Weekend is like at the earliest, but. I don't know, like maybe the players are going to be a little more eager than they think, and the owner's going to be a little more stubborn with everything, and they're making it clear. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I guess now we can move on. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, 100%.
I have another loser of the deadline. The Atlanta Braves. I mean, maybe teams are seeing like, oh, like we do have a good record, but it doesn't seem like we can contend this year. But I feel like it's. I guess it is different with the Dodgers, but I feel like it's baseball. Like anything can happen. Like what if the Dodgers? I think the only time to beat the Dodgers is in the division series, where it's best of 5 series, not a best of 7 series. What if they got picked off in the first round and they run into a couple injuries? The Braves are first place in the NL East. I think they're third in the NL right now.
Mm-hmm.
They acquired 2 pitchers who have a 5.13 ERA and a 13.97 ERA, and then they acquired. Oh, sorry, 3 pitchers. One, Brent Sutter has a 4.12 ERA, and then they acquired Lane Thomas, who is a solid player. I think he has like a 7.10 OPS or something. I mean, they're like solid. Like Lane Thomas is the best player out of the guys they got, and he's like a fine player. He's a fine center fielder. I feel like the Braves always make these like small moves that end up working out for them, but I feel like when you're in first place and competing against these powerhouse teams that we've mentioned, I feel like you got to make more moves than that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it feels like the Braves have kind of been on and off the past few years, but yeah, like when they're at their best, they're one of the best teams in baseball, and obviously they had the ring in 2023, 2020, no
21.
21, yeah, 21. But yeah, yeah, those are a few years ago at this point, so yeah, I do think they should be buyers, but I guess we'll see what happens. But
Well, if you look
yeah,
at that deadline, totally bought. I mean, they got
they did
Soler, and that was
they did buy, yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that was with the injury of Acuna, but
yeah.
I guess yeah, I guess we'll see what happens though. But yeah, anyway, yeah, back to basketball now. So yeah, I mentioned that we were in Greece, and when we were we were at the airports. When more specifically, I'll tell you where we were. We were in we were in the snack station, buying snacks to get food at the airports, and that's when I got the notification that LeBron did indeed sign with the Sixers. I was dead wrong. Like I said in the last episode, I did say that I thought the LeBron to the Sixers just didn't make any sense whatsoever. As far as it goes for like anything outside of basketball, it just didn't make any sense to me. East Coast to me, like East Coast, everything like it's away from his business. Him just joining a new team like altogether just felt weird to me. But it ended up being what he did. Like he seems pretty happy with the move. He's going to be in a role where he's not really expected to do a ton. He's going to be expected to he's going to be expected to facilitate a lot of the offense, but he's not going to be really asked to do like a lot of the scoring and everything. But that all said, if we were to rank how good players were last year on the Sixers, I would probably go Jaylen Brown 1, Tyrese Maxey 2. Third, I guess, would probably be LeBron ahead of Embiid, given all the injuries and everything. And then after that, I don't know. Like it's a very like that's like my thoughts. Those are my footnotes thoughts on everything so far. But what are your thoughts on LeBron's move to Philly, Matt?
I was also shocked. I thought it was totally going to be Miami within the last couple of days. I mean, I know he was like following people on Instagram and the betting odds. Miami were became the heavy favorites out of nowhere. I think Philly was also 4 on my list. I think it was Cleveland, whatever order. I think it was like the Warriors, Miami, Cleveland, and then like a gap, and then Philly was 4 on my list of where I would guess he was going. I'm pretty shocked. I mean, we talk about, I don't think he'll fit there. I think LeBron is like probably one of the most easy players to build around or build for. Granted, like his ability to do a lot, and especially he's taking a lesser role with this team. I think that's the same concerns for the Sixers. Even though they're way better this year, the roster is greatly improved, getting off the Paul George contract, getting Jaylen Brown, and getting Paul George. And their bench is better than it was last year. I think they still have the same issues, which is they don't have a true facilitator. I mean, Maxey, if they're expecting him to make a playmaking jump, I think that is a fair bet to make. But I think I have to see it to believe it before it happens. And their bench, I know you're higher on the bench than I am. But their bench scares me, and the Embiid health is a big concern to me, obviously. But I do think they'll be a great, a very solid team, one of the better teams in the East. But it was surprising to me that LeBron decided to go there over, having his final send off in Cleveland, riding off into the sunset there. Even though I think the Sixers will be a better team than the Cavs, even if LeBron didn't. I think the Sixers are better with LeBron than the Cavs would be.
The Cavs would have been with LeBron, yeah.
Yes.
That's a fair take for sure, especially with the Sixers having Jaylen. I would bet on the Cavs more with LeBron than the Sixers with LeBron, given I trust the Cavs' health a lot more. Because really, at the end of the day, like this is going to sound very oversimplified, but like it's true. If Joel Embiid is not healthy, their big man depth stinks. Not good, like not okay, like not like Spolarovich. Their big man depth stinks. They got Bona from the Knicks. They got someone else, I don't even remember his name. If Joel Embiid is not going to be healthy, which he's not going to be healthy, they have a very limited ceiling. They can win a playoff series without Joel Embiid easily. If you want to have like LeBron play, like if you want to go small ball, sometimes have LeBron play the 5. We saw that in 2023. It was a disaster. He was fine himself, but for the team, it was horrible. I just obviously the team's fully healthy, we've seen it happen where like teams are able to stay healthy for like a few week stretch. Maybe it can't happen with the Sixers, especially. I don't know. It feels like LeBron has like some type of devil magic within his first two years of joining a team. Usually things work out for the first couple of years, but obviously LeBron's in a completely different point in his career now, so I have no idea what's going to happen. But yeah, you mentioned Maxi's playmaking abilities being a weakness. He's a great off-ball player, and I do think he's going to be playing off-ball a lot more this year than he did in years past, given the additions of LeBron and Jaylen Brown. Paul George is like a much more naturally off-ball player than both those guys. So Maxi, I think, will be playing off the ball a lot, in addition to asking playmaking for sure, which I'm a huge fan of. Tyrese Maxey, I think he's extremely capable, but I do think a lot of responsibility is going to fall on his shoulders, even though they are stacked. But like he's going to have to be doing a lot more things unfamiliar than in the past, in my opinion. So yeah, we saw Jalen in his jersey yesterday on the Twitch stream. Still can't believe it, but it's just absolutely unreal to see, and and it's gonna be interesting to say the least, because like I do think they're gonna we could talk about like how clunky the Lakers lineup is gonna be with like too many guys that are too ball dominant, but like I do think they're gonna do a good job of I personally I think that Nick Nurse is still like an okay he's still like a very, I shouldn't say okay, I think he's a very good coach. He's gonna do like solid with the rotations and everything. I think that's at least for like the middle part of the game, you won't see like a lot of LeBron and Jalen minutes intertwined. They're going to play. They're going to play together at the end of games for sure. But like yeah, like I'm a fan of Anthony Simons. I'm a fan of Dean Wade. Even KCP as an eighth man is fine. But like I said, I'm most concerned.
The rookie they drafted is pretty good too. LeBaron Philon from Bama.
Yeah, yeah.
He fell a little bit in the draft, but he's also another guard. Yeah, their big man depth definitely scares me. Who they got, Bona and Huck Porty behind Embiid, but I'm also, I mean, I think a big part of basketball is locker room chemistry and if the guys actually like each other and how they play together. I mean, we saw that with this Knicks team this year.
Big time.
Everyone played super well together. 2025, the Thunder, everyone in that locker room played together, and who they played in the finals, the Pacers, it seemed like that play style and team play really, really matters. And you bring in a guy like Jaylen Brown, I think that's a trade obviously the Sixers will make again and again and again, getting off the Paul George contract and not giving up a ton of draft capital for it. But he literally took the most shots in the NBA last season. I just read that he was third in isolation plays. And, he a lot of questionable, and I'm not just, we are big Jaylen Brown. I think we have him higher on our list than most people do. But he does need the ball in his hands to be impactful. I know LeBron doesn't need the ball in his hands to be impactful, but I know like obviously you're not going to have LeBron only playing off ball. But the biggest question, minus the big man depth, like you said, Chris, I think the biggest question is their playmaking ability. I know LeBron can play make a little bit, but he is 41.5. Like he is going to miss some time due to like load management and stuff. And it's been a couple years since he's made a deep playoff run. And after LeBron, who's your playmaker? Who's your facilitator? It's Maxey. The Knicks really showed that in that playoff series that it's he really struggled against tough defense. They made him pass the ball, and it didn't look pretty. Granted, I can if he makes a jump with his playmaking, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's been improving every single year of his career, but still, it's a tough thing just to pick up.
Definitely a tough thing to pick up, and like I said, like they're hoping both for him to improve his playmaking ability, but they're also hoping that he plays off ball, which I believe in him. I believe in his ability to play off ball a lot more than his ability to play make. So I guess we'll see what happens there. By the way, in case anyone's tuning in to listen to our take on Steph Curry golfing with Jason Tatum, we will not be commenting at this time because we will not as much as we want to speak it into existence. We also don't want to get too excited about it because it would be very cool. But I do think I give it a. I'm not even going to give it a decimal. I give it a 0% chance that it's going to happen this year. So,
Yeah, I think Curry's just gonna stay a Warrior forever. Like,
honestly, yeah,
there's no way Draymond's gonna stay longer than Curry.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely not. All right, so anyway, so we covered the deadline. We covered LeBron move to the Sixers. And yeah, now we're on to the offseason portion of the show to where we start doing a bunch of lists, and we usually do our top 10 players per position heading into next year. Yeah, but we figured we'd spice things up. We're gonna do top 10 per position all time. So I've been doing my poll of my top 10 point guards post merger, and like doing based on my list and people voting on it. It's been quite interesting. We're kind of in the boring days where like there's a lot of guys on my list that a lot of people might not be familiar with. Currently, my poll is Tim Hardaway Sr. versus Dennis Johnson versus Kevin Johnson versus Penny Hardaway, which is I actually think that's actually funnier than. I'm surprised that no one let it on yet. It's two Johnsons versus two Hardaways. So, which like Johnson, I'm not really too surprised at, but having two Hardaways on a poll is actually, I think, pretty funny. But I know people might disagree with that, but yeah. So yeah, this is the top 10 point guards of all time. By the way, I did before I do that, I did forget to mention happy birthday, by the way, to Caldwell Jones and to Roger Clemens, by the way, and Bradbury. Yes. So
Roger
one in each
Clemens.
sport. Okay, I didn't say I liked him, but like he's the only
You
person
said
that
happy birthday. Don't wish him a happy birthday.
Okay, fine. I don't know. Okay, fuck you, Roger Clemens. I don't care.
Thank you.
I don't care if you. Okay, fine.
Unhappy birthday.
Okay, so, so anyway, Matt, you got your list prepared?
Yes.
If you do, okay. So here's how we're gonna do it. So last year we came up with a system to where we did one at a time. We did 10, 10, 9, 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, like that. So we can either do that, Matt, or what we could do is first we usually go over honorable mentions too. So we can do that, or what we can do is I'll let you give your number 10 first. I can tell you where I have that guy, that we can discuss things regarding that player. And then we could just do it towards the end. But I'm also thinking that like when we mention our honorable mentions, and I could just say, if you say he's not a point guard, but like say like someone, if you say Jason Tatum, then I say honorable mention Jason Tatum, and I say, oh no, he's on my list. We could talk about him when he comes up on my list. So
all right, cool.
Is that something you might want to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So question about
yes,
you saying not a point guard. Jerry West shooting guard or point guard?
I have him listed as a point guard.
You have Jerry West as a point guard? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Right, okay, sweet. So why don't you give your first honorable mention?
So I have 3. So I have 13, 12, and 11.
Sure. Okay.
All right. I have Russell Westbrook at 13.
Okay. Yeah. So I have Westbrook at 15, and yeah, Westbrook is definitely one of the harder players to rank. I think that he's both overrated and underrated at the same time. I think he's So like I used to think that he was just overrated, not underrated. Like I think that's if you really look at his career, I used to be someone that said like, oh, he can only be a number 1 on a bad team. He can't be a number 2 on a good team. He was number 2 next to Kevin Durant on some very, very good teams, and they could have easily won that title in 2012 if they had like more experience and like better pieces around them. But yeah, Westbrook was like the best player on the team in some of those games, and like in the very short sample size with him being the number 1 on a first round team. I think like I sensed it in the fantasy chat like a little bit ago, but like I think it was again like this is a very misleading stat, but like the fact that it's so big. The Thunder's net swing with Westbrook on the court versus off court is literally a plus 60 per 100 possessions, which like that just shows you like I think they were like at like a plus 2 with them on and like a negative 60 with them off. So that shows you that like Westbrook was like literally like gluing things together for them, and like he was literally like Colin Coward gives the with his analogies. He's literally the parent that can't leave the house without their kids burning the house down. So that's where Westbrook was in 2017. I know this is very unlike me. Like I'm usually someone that, like, especially if you go on my live streams, like I'm usually arguing Westbrook overrated because like that feels like a lot of social media people. But like I think he's I think he's overrated by social media, but underrated by the media, by like by mainstream media.
Totally agree.
Yeah. I guess I think my first honorable mention would be Gary Payton.
Ooh, he's on my list.
He's on your list. Okay, we can talk about him when we get to your list. So my second honorable mention is Walt Frazier.
Okay, he's not on my list. He's an honorable mention for me as well.
Perfect.
These guys are. I know post merger, we say like that's where we draw the line of like how hard it is to rank. I feel like guys in the 70s are also pretty hard to rank as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he won 2 titles in New York. Elite two-way player, one of the best guard defenders ever. But I think the guys ahead of him are just a little better career-wise.
I agree. And yeah, he has those 2 titles. Didn't win Finals MVP, but he definitely deserved at least one of those. Like one of them was the Willis Reed game where like he played on a broken leg, but that was more of a ceremony or reward than anything. But yeah, absolutely one of the better 2-way players of all time, especially for that era. Yeah, I do have 2 more honorable mentions. One of them is Luka Doncic. Is he on your list or?
He's not on my list.
He's not on your list. Okay, yeah, but
wasn't on my honorable mentions either.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he wouldn't be in my first 3, but I do have him at 14. I just wanted to give him because I said that I've Russ at 15. But and my number 11 out of mention goes to Bob Cousy actually. Yeah, at the end of the day, 8 assist titles, 6 titles, and just the offensive engine on the Celtics were never really a great offense at the end of the day, but it was their defense that was carrying them. That's why I have Russell so high, but he was keeping their offense afloat. Like they were never really the worst defense. They were like the fact that they weren't like catastrophic on offense is a reason why they won the title. Like they had to be dominant on defense and okay on offense, and he was part of the reason what made them okay on offense. 8 assist titles, like I said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was on my honorable mentions. My last honorable mention at 11. Oh, I have 2, I guess. Should I keep?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, 100%.
12 is kind of a hot take here, Chris.
Okay.
Jason Kidd.
Okay, he's okay. He's on my top 10. We'll go over him when we do this. But who's your other honorable mention?
Jalen Brunson is 11 on my list.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I do have Brunson quite low. And yeah, we had this argument on vacation, but we can dive into this either now or another time. But so like I guess what we should have done is we should have like I guess kind of went over our criteria and like I'm someone that feels like every single year I'm changing my criteria, but like this was like the first year that I actually like completely revamped my criteria and like really dove into it. And really, what it comes down to it for me is if I'm a franchise and I want to draft a team and I want those guys to basically like when you're drafting a team, no matter what, you want those guys to help you win as many championships as you can. So that's the way that I'm looking at it as. So, obviously, I'm going to look at accolades. I'm going to look at playoff rising. I'm going to look at all that. So, with that said, with my criteria looking into that, I have looked at longevity a little more strongly than I have in the past. So, a guy like Brunson, I am going to be a little bit lower on because of the fact that it took him a couple years to get there. Obviously, he's become that guy. This is this was the year that he finally got the job done. And if you want to move Brunson up a bunch of spots like Bill Simmons did because of the ring alone, that's completely fine. Like I understand that. Like that used to be my mindset. Like I used to be like, okay, that's the best thing you can do is win a championship. But I think like I've just become a little more analytics pilled to where I say there's only so much that a single guy could do to win a championship. And Brunson's closeout game, one of the best closeout games ever, awesome. But the thing is that he was relatively reliant on his teammates at times, which every superstar is. I don't want to say otherwise, but 4 out of those 5 games, he was not the best player. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say not the best player. He was debatably not the best player on those teams. Games 1 and 2 was debatably Cat. Games 3 and 4, OG was debatably better. He was the most consistent player, which is why he won Finals MVP and deservedly won Finals MVP. But I just think that Brunson's peak isn't quite there with some of the guys on top of them, and he also doesn't have as many All NBA, All Star caliber seasons as much as some of the guys ahead of him. So like that's why I am a little reluctant to put him in my top 15 yet. But if he has like another 3-4 seasons of this quality play, he's without a doubt in my top 15, and maybe even creeps into that top 10 range.
Yeah, he I was debating on putting him either 9 or 10 on my list. I have the guy I have at 10 because of his two-way ability. And because of how long he did it. I think longevity is a tad overrated when it comes to people making these lists. However, it definitely should be valued a little bit. I mean, should we get into who I have at 10 yet or no?
Sure, yeah, you definitely can, 100%.
Yeah, so this guy I have at 10 is Gary Payton. It's really I would not hate if somebody had Brunson over Gary Payton for the all-time list, but Gary Payton, in my opinion, is the best guard defender of all time. He was a 9-time All-NBA. People are like, oh, he was never the number one on a championship team. I think he just ran into Michael Jordan and one of the greatest teams of all time in that finals. I know it's an if, but I give it a Payton just because of how elite he was on the defensive end, and he was still a pretty elite offensive player. He averaged 20 for multiple seasons in a row. Was a good playoff player. And not as obviously not as good as Brunson, but like you said, Chris, he did it for his entire career. Brunson's have had this amazing peak of 4 years with the Knicks.
Yeah.
So I give the very slight edge to Payton. I think Brunson leaps him within the next couple of years. So when we're doing this pod in a couple of years, I'll put Brunson ahead of him.
Fair enough. So yeah, Gary Payton does have 2 first-team All-NBAs, 5 second-team All-NBAs, 2 third-team All-NBA. So like that's 9 All-NBA caliber seasons plus all those defensive accolades. One of the only guard defensive players of the years. I shouldn't say only guards because like I guess it was more common back in the 80s, but defensive player of the year, gave Jordan as hard a time as any other player. Did win the title eventually with Shaq and D Wade in 2006. But yeah, it is that lack of peak. Like not really the offensive engine on some great teams. It was mostly like defensively. Him and Sean Kemp to be able one of the best defensive duos ever. In my opinion, one of the best duos to never win a ring. I do think that's I think that's KD and Russ, Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, Stockton Malone. Those are like the 3 standard duos for like to never win a ring. I think that Sean Kemp and Gary Payton are right up there with them. But yeah, like me not having him in the top 10 has nothing to do with his inabilities. It has more to do with the fact that of some of these guys, of some of these other guys that I have ahead of them. And like I think all the guys, the guy that I have at number 10, I think peaked lower than Gary Payton, but I think all the other guys that I've 1 through 9, I think did peak higher than Payton. But the guy that I have the guy that I have at number 10 is John Stockton actually, and he's another one that's just. He's like the inverse of Russell Westbrook. I think that he is criminally underrated by social media, and I think that he's criminally overrated by mainstream media. We saw it happen in Bleacher Report's most recent top 100 list last summer. I think the lowest person had him at 76 all time, which is crazy. I think the highest person had him at like 18. I think that Chilltown still has him in like his top 20-ish area, which is bonkers to me. Maybe not top 20. I know that I think definitely top 25, which is crazy to me. Yeah, both him and Florence are very high on him, which I get. You should be higher on him. Like especially if you like Chilltown definitely factors in longevity. It's like the most important thing to him, which I don't know the accolades off the top of my head, but like I do know that he never finished either never finished top 7 or only finished top 7 in MVP voting, which a lot of that did have to do with Malone. The impact stats aren't really there a ton, but I do know that Malone's Malone was really the one that was driving that offense. He was the one that was like putting the ball in the baskets and like really like pressuring a lot of those those defenses, like the rim pressure and like I don't want to. I know that some people on social media say like, oh, Stockton was just like lobbing up to Malone. Malone's doing all the work. That's not exactly true. Like there's some truth to it, but it's mostly not true. Like in order to have elite offenses, which the 1998 Jazz is one of the best offenses ever. Like only reason why I know that is because I started doing like offense list, and the Jazz time and time again at elite offense after elite offense, and he's still one of the better two-way defenders of all time. But it is that lack of peak which keeps him lower, but it is the longevity which keeps him in my top 10, and I can see him being as high as 8. My 1 through 7 I'm pretty strict on, but I can see Stockton being as high as 8. But I think that he's too disrespected by social media day, in my opinion. But I'm assuming that you have him in your top 10 somewhere, Matt. Where do you have him?
Yeah, I have Stockton at 9, actually, funny enough.
Perfect segue.
I used to be way higher on Stockton than I am today. Like you said, Chris, the lack of peak, it's just a totally great way to put it. And a lot of these guys, it's, if the Bulls didn't exist, they would have a ring. But, I mean, that's purely hypothetical. Like, the Bulls did exist, so these guys didn't have a ring. Longevity does mean a little bit to me. Now that I'm looking at it, like, maybe I'll flip Peyton and Stockton, but I don't think so. I think I'll stick with Stockton at 9. His I know records aren't the end all be all, but his assist and steal record are insanely. It's going to be insanely hard to break. If anyone breaks it, it's like one of the most unbreakable records in sports, in my opinion. But yeah, I have him at 9. You covered basically all the talking points.
Awesome. So yeah, my 9th spot, I have one of your honorable mentions, and that's Jason Kidd. Yeah. So a lot of people think, and I'm not sure if I agree with this, but I shouldn't say a lot of people, but like I was listening to, I know that both Carson from Nerd Sesh and Tyler from Hoop Venue, friend of the pod, we've had him on twice. I debated him in person. Both of them think that Jason Kidd is actually the best guard defender of all time, not Gary Payton, which I don't know all the numbers to that. I do know like off the top of my head, like I don't know the exact number, but I do know that the Nets had like a pretty brutal defensive rating the year before that Jason Kidd got there, and then when he got there, they became one of the better defenses in the league, which is really hard to do for a point guard defender. That on top of the fact that I think that he is one of the 5 best passers ever. I think that's top of my head. I think that Magic, Jokic, Nash, and Bird are better. I think I might have Jason Kidd in that 5 spot. If not, maybe LeBron would be in that mix. But between like his passing ability and like being an elite floor general, one of the best point of attack defenders ever, along with being one of the better roam defenders ever, like being like an elite off ball defender as well, and leading his team to 2 finals. I believe it was 2003 and I should know this one. 2002, 2003. Those are the years, actually. Because he lost to the Lakers and then he lost to Tim Duncan Spurs. However, it is that lack of scoring threat which puts ceilings on their team. All the guys that I have ahead of him are not even better scorers; they're leaps and bounds better than him as scorers, and even the guys behind them, besides Stockton and Kuzi for that matter. Yeah, Walt Frazier, Luka, Russ, all of them are much better scorers than Jason Kidd. So I do get why people would have Kidd a little bit lower because of the lack of scoring threats. But he's the epitome of a traditional point guard, and I'm much higher on Jason Kidd than a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot of people because I'm not going to get into who I have next to him, but I'll get into that later. But I know that you were obviously a little bit lower on Jason Kidd than I was. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, it's tough to rank. Like you said, Chris, I feel like there is a clear tier above these guys. But it's so tough to rank the Stocktons, the Nashes, even Gary Payton is in that tier, I believe. It's funny, if you asked me like literally like 3 months ago, I think I would have had these guys way higher than Gary Payton. But now now I've done more research on him. I'm higher on Gary Payton. But like you said, Chris, I wasn't aware of how elite defensively Kidd was until recently, when I started doing more research on all-time point guards. But like you said, his lack of scoring and just like it's a horrible way to look at it, but his like points per game is way lower than the guys ahead of him, and his efficiency. I know that's like a bad way to look at it, but it definitely matters a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. He was never the number one option on a championship team, which the guys, a lot of the guys ahead of him were. So I definitely don't hate him in anyone's top 10. If anyone had him in the top 10, I wouldn't bat an eye. But he just missed out on mine just because of the lack of scoring.
Yep. All right, awesome. So who is your number 8?
Hold on. My number 8 is Steve Nash. One of my sorry. He was my number
Ooh.
7. I skipped number 8. My number 8 is Christopher Paul.
Okay.
I go back and forth on where to rank Chris Paul. The definition of a true point guard, one of the best two-way point guards of all time. He's one of the guys that is very durable and played for, what is it, 20 years, 21 years?
Was drafted the year after LeBron, so I think 2 years after LeBron. Yes, so yeah, maybe 20 years. Yeah, I think that's that.
Yeah, so I'm just not as high as him because of I'm a little lower on Chris Paul than you are, I believe. But yeah, I have him at number 8.
Yeah, I have Chris Paul at number 6. And what it comes down to for Chris Paul, and trust, yeah, like all the criticisms about Chris Paul are very valid. I shouldn't say all of them because I do think that people kind of point to him in like the James Harden and Joel Embiid, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, not DeMar DeRozan because he does like he's not really as good as those guys at their peak, but people point to him like as far as he goes for like all-time great player, also an all-time great playoff dropper. I'm down the middle where like I'm not gonna fall into the trap where people say like just because he doesn't have a ring or like has limited playoff success as a number one option. Like I'm not gonna say that he's a catastrophic playoff dropper, but I'm also not gonna fall into the analytic trap and say like oh, he's not actually a playoff dropper. Look at all these field goal percentage numbers. It's always his team that let him down. No, Chris Paul has had his fair share of bad playoff moments, and that's okay. That's but that all said, at the end of the day, he's not only like I think he's a top 10 passer of all time. I think that he's debatably the best point guard of this era outside of Steph Curry. One of the best mid range shooters ever. One of the best floor generals of the era. And not for nothing. I'm gonna flip I'm gonna address this thing on both sides of the coin. So like if you want to talk about making teams better, he joins a team, they always become much better. Like you literally go through every single season. He got drafted by the New Orleans Hornets, they became substantially better. Then he got traded to the Clippers, they became so much better. Traded to the Rockets, became so much better. The Suns, the Thunder, then the Suns. Who's up to the Suns? Was it got traded to the Warriors? Okay, I got traded to the Wizards and then the Warriors. I think, yeah, those, yeah. So like, not so much the Warriors, but like I definitely like up until the Suns, like every team he got traded to it came so much better. That all said,
Spurs.
What was it?
Spurs at the end.
Yeah, he definitely helped with Wemby's. Wemby's like a playmaker,
Castle's
sure, but
development. Yeah,
Castle 100%. That all said, let's flip the coin here. A lot of people don't like Chris Paul, and that matters. People want to talk about how like oh, he's just like a tough guy and like everyone needs that guy. No, people fucking hate Chris Paul because he's a jerk, actually. So
yeah, he's an asshole.
and like I don't and like some people like don't want to like look at intangibles because like it's too subjective, but Chris Paul has hurt his teams before because he's too stubborn. Like it's happens. Like we saw like how we saw like it didn't just end horribly with his career with the Clippers. It also ended horribly with like his first stint with the Clippers and even with the Rockets too. Like him and James Harden hated each other by the end. So I shouldn't say I don't know if they hate each other now, but like it was a clear locker room tension, and that's a real flaw. But yeah, I do have him at number 6 because of everything that I mentioned. Like one of the better two-way point guards ever, one of the best passers ever, one of the better mid-range shooters ever. So all of those things is why I have him at number 6. Some people have him at number 5. But yeah, I do have him at number 6 though. Anything else? Anything else about Chris Paul, Matt?
No, I'm wondering who you have at 8 and 7 now.
So I have Steve Nash at number 8. I know that you have him at 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of talked about this with friend of the pod, Drew Fitzpatrick, the other day. But yeah, so I'm gonna pull this up right now, actually. But
you muted yourself, by the way. I didn't know if that was intentional.
Yes, I did, and I just gotta flip my audio real quick to. Oh, I know I'm good. Okay, so I've been working on like an all-time offense thing. excuse me. It's like basically just like Christ almighty, it's a tough day for tech, but so I'm pulling up this all yeah, so all-time offense. So the 2004 according to relative offensive rating. So that's it's basically just like how great your offensive rating was minus league average. So that's I think that's a much more accurate way of determining how elite your offense was. The 2004 Mavericks have the best relative offensive rating ever. It's at a 9.2. Um, he was the second best player in that offense. I think Dirk Nowitzki was the best. However, the year after that, he got traded to the Suns or signed with the Suns. Steve Nash was that's the second best offense all time at an 8.4. Steve Nash on that team was 17.1 points per 100 possessions better on offense than after that. So, but then even go after that. So the Warriors in 2016 were third, Celtics in 2024 were fourth, Bulls in 97 were five. Then we go back to Steve Nash run teams. 2010, again, another Steve Nash run team. 2002, again, a Dirk and Steve Nash team. So all of this to say, Steve Nash is one of the best offensive players ever. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic. I'm missing one. Magic Johnson. I think that's the top five undisputed offensive players. I think after that, it's either Steve Nash or Larry Bird. We're going to say Larry Bird because we're biased, but at the end of the day, 50, 40, 90 seasons constantly. One of the best passers ever, one of the best pick and roll player ever, elite offensive player. Biggest problem with him is his defense. And I know like we say this oftentimes with like certain players, but I think that Steve Nash was like Luka, Trae Young level bad on defense. And people talk about like how great this offensive player was, then why don't people put him higher on all-time lists? It's because he's actually very, very bad on defense. And people might say like, oh, he's a point guard. You can't really expect him to do it on defense. They should have built his team better. Yes, maybe they should have done better by like getting better 3-and-D guys surrounded by Steve Nash, and maybe they would have won a couple rings with him. But yeah, again, like all-time great offense player, but I just can't have him much higher than 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think that's a valid. I have him at 7 on this list. I think your gripes are totally valid with him. I'm a sucker for 50, 40, 90 guys.
Yes, that's fair enough. Me too.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean you basically great analysis about it. But he was just an elite offense player, friend of the pod, Drew Fitzpatrick, like you said. Said rank these 3 guys who we already talked about. 2 of them. It was Paul Nash, and I believe he's number 6 on my list. Yeah, the guy who's number 6 on my list.
And he is also the guy who was number 7 on my list. So, do you have it? Yeah, if you have more to say about Steve Nash, but yeah, definitely feel free to. But
no,
if not,
my number 6 on my list, who's number 7 on yours, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has an argument to be 5 on my list. I don't know if that's insane.
It's not insane at all. No.
I know he gets a lot of negative talk for his play style, which I think some of it is definitely valid, but I think some of it is a little overblown to an extent. But I think it's just because he's on one of the better teams, if not the best team in the league, coming into this year. Obviously, the Knicks gotta win to be the best team, in my opinion. But they did win in 25, so I think top 2 team in the league, definitely. He's the obviously leader of that team. He's just a walking 30 points a game. He's super consistent. He's a very, very solid 2-way player. I think he's not as elite as people used to say he is, but to have his resume at the 8, what is he, Chris? He's 27. To have his resume at his age right now, it's insanely impressive. And I think I'm a big playoff riser guy. I think he's an elite playoff performer. So he's slotted at 6 on my list.
Yeah, easily one of the best scorers ever. Yeah, like I would definitely say like somewhere in the top 10, like between like that. Yeah, obviously that 20-point streak, and he's not going to be one to score like 60. He's not like he's not going to break Bam's record, like the 83 points, like we kind of talked about, like how he's like who would be the one to break Bam's record. He's not going to be that guy because he's not someone that's going to be a crazy volume scorer. But what he is, however, is a great volume scorer consistently on elite efficiency. Someone who doesn't turn the ball over. He has like a crazy tight handle. Gets to his spots better than everyone else in the league. Is one of the best mid-range shooters we've ever seen. A very good 3-point shooter. A great driver, a great finisher, really a flawless offensive player. Like he's like I shouldn't say flawless because he really could improve on his passing skills, but that being said, he does draw
He
a ton
averaged
of
7
attention.
assists last year.
He did average 7 assists,
6.6,
but
yeah.
he could be better at that. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be that elite of a scorer, and that efficient while also being a very solid plus on defense, like obviously it's
Yeah.
easy to look good in defense with that system, surrounded by that system, but he's a very good defender. Like I don't think people use like to critique him. They say like, oh, look how great his teammates are on defense. Yeah, he doesn't hurt their team on defense though, like some of these other guards do. Like so, if we're talking peaks, I think he's up there with like most guys on this list. Like even some of the guys ahead of him. I do want to push back on you a little bit though, as far as goes for playoff rising. I don't think I'd consider him too much of a playoff riser. I do think that he has had his fair share of moments where he hasn't looked as good. Like we even saw last year against the Nuggets, where he had like a couple brutal games. We saw this year against this. Didn't really play that great against the Spurs. Played great in Game 7, but had like a couple of tough games. So I would like to see him be a little more consistent in the playoffs. But that being said, compared to Chris Paul, Steve Nash, and even like John Stockton, he's absolutely up there. Yeah.
I wasn't saying like I did use the term playoff riser, but I just want to say he's still a great player in the playoffs.
Yes,
like
100%.
I said, it's tough to rise above. He averaged 33 last year, 31
Oh, yeah.
this year. Like it's tough to play better than that. And granted, he is that he has had some stinkers in the playoffs, but literally everybody in the history of basketball has had stinkers in the playoffs. But
Absolutely,
I do agree.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm imagining we have the same top 5, and I am also imagining that we have the same number 5, if I'm not mistaken. But who is your number 5?
I don't know if we have the same number 5, Chris.
Oh, we don't. Okay, who's your number 5?
Mine is Oscar Robertson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we definitely don't have the same. Okay, I shouldn't say definitely because he's my number 4, but yeah. Care to explain why do you have him at number 5?
And this is not a gripe against him. I'm very high on the guy who I have at 4, thanks to our father, who has been talking about how good Isaiah Thomas is our entire life. But I flipped between Oscar Robertson and Isaiah Thomas, and I think if you have, like you said, I'm assuming you have Thomas at 5 and Oscar at 4.
Yes.
Which is it's insanely valid, but I just think it's tough to. And I know, we're not supposed to do this, but Oscar Robertson's last year was 1974, which is, I don't know how many how many steals Oscar Robertson averaged or how many blocks. Like it's tough to compare these players. I know that's what the purpose of this list. And it's not fair to, like, counting stats wise, he's obviously way better than Isaiah Thomas counting stats. But I have Oscar at 5. I know it's a little unfair, but just because of the era he played in compared to Isaiah Thomas's era he played in.
So I do it. Yeah, like I said, I do have Oscar at 4. His
numbers are insane.
His numbers are insane, and it's also interesting to contextualize because, yes, his numbers are insane, but he did play in a very high-paced era where it's kind of similar to Wilt's average 50. And it sounds silly, but Wilt's averaging 50 isn't that impressive. Isn't that impressive given how fast it was. It was kind of like how Robertson averaging 50 isn't as impressive as like it might be in certain other eras. Like in the dead ball era, would be a lot more impressive. That all said, offense was something that was not really prioritized too much. And in an era with Wilt Chamberlain and with Jerry West and with Elgin Baylor, Robertson, in my opinion, was the best offensive player in the league and engined some offenses that were some of the better words in the league, and it really didn't matter that much because defense was really what mattered the most. The term defense wins championships is a thing because it still is. It's true to this day, but like it was more true back then. And Robertson was a fine defender. Like obviously steals and blocks isn't really something to look at a ton, but like from like everything that I've seen, like he's a fine defender, and I do think that some people might like value Isaiah's playoff moments more. He does have one ring in 1971 with Kareem. That was towards the tail end of his career, but yeah, I think that he just happened to run into the Celtics a couple of times. He ran into the Sixers a couple of times as well with Wilt. So Yeah, so like, yeah, I do have him at a clear number 4, but and like I'm not really, and if anything, if anything, I'd move him up to number 3 before I moving down to number 5. But
Wow.
um, yeah, like and yeah, we can actually segue that. I'm assuming we both have the same number 3 with Jerry
Well,
West.
yeah, I just
Yeah,
want to give a little bit more of
yeah, sure.
my argument for Isaiah Thomas. I know, like you said, Chris, it's tough
Oh,
to rank
yeah,
the.
we haven't even, we haven't even talked about Isaiah. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely, yeah, go more towards Isaiah. Yeah,
It's extremely tough to rank intangibles and
yes,
qualify
it is.
intangibles. But it
Yes.
seemed like Isaiah Thomas was one of the greatest leaders of all time in the sport. Um, his playoff runs in '89 and '90 were insanely impressive. He won Finals MVP on a very good team in 1990. He defeated he beat Magic Johnson in the finals. And he beat Jordan and Bird, all in his championship runs. So very impressive the players he beat. And yeah, I know intangibles are a stupid argument, but when you're comparing all time greats, I feel like it does matter a little bit. And I think one of the best leaders of NBA history.
So yeah, this is very similar to John Stockton. Overrated by the mainstream media, underrated by social media, because
Yes.
and underrated by the analytics community, because yeah, Carson from Nerd Sesh had him ranked at number 50 this year, on his list, which is crazy to me. And I get it. Like he's not efficient. He's not a great defensive player. It's really like his like assists and his assists that really get him up there, and also his playoff rising. I shouldn't say playoff rising. Like they don't they even push back against that. But like it's like, yeah, like he does have some low box score numbers, but he kind of emphasizes, Bill Simmons kind of emphasized this in his book that I read like every portion of on our Grease trip. Um, but he just sacrificed so much, like, and like he didn't like he like I shouldn't say he didn't, yeah, I will say, like, he didn't care about the numbers a ton, and just showed up in like the big, like he scored when he needed to. He like racked up more assists like when he needed to, and like some people have him outside the top 10. I think that's absolutely crazy. I think there is a far better argument for being inside the top 5 than outside the top 10. Like I can listen to an argument for CP3, Nash, and SG over him. I can't really listen to anyone else in my opinion. But um yeah, it's absolutely, the intangibles are there, and even though he's one of the worst GMs of all time, he's absolutely one of the best players to ever play the game. So yeah, yeah, 4 and 5 we have flopped, but we do have the same number 3, Jerry West, and Jerry West is someone that I used to have lower, I said, like I can see an argument for him being lower than Oscar, and I can not only can I see the arguments, I used to have Oscar over him. Like when I very first started doing these lists, I used to have Oscar Robertson over him because of the whole offensive engine, triple doubles, and everything. But really look into it. I think that Jerry West is very much one of the most underrated playoff risers ever. I think that's he has 1 scoring title for regular season, but has 4 scoring titles in the playoffs. He's 1-7 in the 1-7, 1-8 in the finals, but that was only because he ran into Burr Russell every single year. But once he got Will Chamberlain, they became one of the best teams ever. Today I made a TikTok video responding to Chilton, the best teams of each era. I think that the 72 Lakers are easily the best team of the 70s, and debatably like a top 5, top 10 team ever. I think that's, according to SRS, they're like one of the they're like in the top 4 or 5 with them, and just everything about Jerry West you gotta love. Like he's a great scorer, very good playmaker, top 5 guard defender ever, probably like alongside Peyton, Kidd, Frazier. He might be in that number 4 spot, and also he's also one of those guys that would have benefited a lot from the 3-point line. So he was able to maximize his game so much from being an elite mid-range shooter and one of the better shooters ever, and just basically just a flawless player. Yeah, just unfortunate that he not unfortunate for us, but like unfortunate for him that he wasn't able to play like with the guy like Russell. He did play with Elgin Baylor, who he might be like a Ewing theory guy, but I do think Elgin Baylor's still high on the list, but yeah, like it's mainly just Baylor, also why people aren't as high on Jerry West.
Yeah, I have a insane amount of respect for players who were efficient for today's age, numbers wise, for guys that played back then. And Wes has the longevity and the peak that we talked about.
Yep.
And he's nicknamed Mr. Clutch. I'm a big fan of clutch players. So Jerry West, I mean, you covered a lot of it, but 9 finals in 14 years of his career, only winning one of them just because of the teams he ran into. But elite player, only player
100%.
to ever win Finals MVP without winning the finals.
That's right, the first one ever. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I think we'll do these next two together. So yeah, I'm assuming we'll both have Magic and Steph. So who do you have 1 and who do you have 2?
I still have Magic at 1, Steph at 2.
Yep.
I think it's totally valid if you have Steph at 1 and Magic at 2. I know you don't agree with that. But I mean, if you do have anyone else at 1 and 2, I think your list is totally invalid.
Yes.
I know we're big Magic Johnson guys here because of how much our dad talked about him growing up. But he said Curry, best shooter of all time. Magic, probably the best playmaker of all time. Would you agree, Chris?
Easy. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
So I mean,
people like to throw around like, oh, LeBron's the best passer ever, Jokic's the best passer ever. I think the Magic is on his own tier. Like, I think that his creativity, especially for like how like basketball like wasn't as sophisticated as it is today with like being able to like read offense and everything. Magic just totally revolutionized the point guard and created positionless basketball. So yeah, I think Magic is one of the best offense. I think he's a top 3 offensive player ever. If you want to put Curry ahead of him because of like his off ball creation and everything, but I think the Magic's Curry's able to get his like teammates open more from his off ball ability, but Magic's able to find like more shots for more open shots for his teammates. So and defensively, neither of them were great defensively, but Magic was able to guard more forwards, which I think is very valuable. Like meanwhile with Steph, they kind of had to hide him or just have him guard the worst player no matter what. But like Magic's able to, he's able to guard like other teams bigs, which I know he's not a good point of attack defender, but he is definitely a more versatile defender than Curry. And one more thing, yeah, and people like do pin they do have Curry higher because he has more longevity than Magic now, but Curry does have the longevity, but like even with the longevity, he hasn't really done anything to playoffs the past few years. So I take that a little bit with a grain of salt, even if that isn't really his fault. But yeah, so yeah, that's our list. Matt, you wanna you want to read your list from 10 to 1?
Yeah. So at 10, I have Gary Payton. At 9, I have John Stockton. At 8, I have Chris Paul. 7, Steve Nash. 6, SGA. 5, Oscar Robertson. 4, Isaiah Thomas. 3, Jerry West. 2, Steph Curry. And 1, Magic Johnson.
In my list, I have John Stockton 10, Jason Kidd 9, Steve Nash 8, Shea 7, Chris Paul 6, Isaiah Thomas 5, Oscar Robertson 4, Jerry West 3, Steph Curry 2, and Magic Johnson 1. All right. So not only did we start, let's say, we also went late. So it's very late in our time. I do feel bad for Matt because he actually has an important job in the morning. I don't have an.
I have a job in the morning.
You do have to get up earlier than me, though, so I do feel bad about that. But
the word important is a loose term here, I guess.
That's okay. Well, whether you doing something with banking, which I have no idea what you do for your job, even to this day, I still have no idea what your job is. I know you work in a bank, but I do think it's more important than me delivering pizzas. So, however, we wore driver shorts today, so maybe my value for that company maybe my stock did rise a little bit today, but that's okay. So. Anyway, yeah, Matt's always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully, next week I'll be out of town again. But hopefully, maybe I can yeah.
Oh,
but,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe I will. Maybe we'll either do a show this week or maybe we can do a show beginning of. Oh wait, no, we could definitely do a show beginning next week. Yeah. I'm not out of town until Thursday. So yeah. So yeah, we'll probably be back at some point next week, likely next Tuesday, where maybe we'll do a shooting guards list and with a couple other things. But yeah, Matt,
we should do trivia next week, presented by Six Man Trivia.
Oh, 100%. We could definitely do 6-man trivia. But all right. Anyway, yeah, awesome. So this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at All American Hooper on TikTok and Instagram. Been going live a lot more on TikTok recently. I've been happy about that. At American Hooper on Twitter. Be sure to check me out on sportsfluent.com. This has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Until next time, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a great night, everyone.